Just a reminder, you can catch me recording this podcast live on AMP. AMP is a new live radio app that lets you call in and chat with me in person while recording. Get the app on Apple's App Store and make sure you follow me at John Middlekauff to get notified when I go live.
I got a question recently on a mailbag, and I think you fall under this category. What constitutes being able to say that you played in the NFL? Basically, starting from like making a training camp all the way to making a 53-man roster. I claimed if you were drafted or an undrafted free agent, and I've been, when I worked with the Eagles, these training camp, I think if you're at a training camp and playing in the preseason games, you can act like you played in the NFL. Not like you had an NFL career. Like you never made it past camp, correct?
Correct. Yeah, no,
Are you allowed to tell someone that your dad played in the NFL for a long time? Did you play in the NFL? Do you believe that? Or
I do not. I was always you have to make P squad for 1 year.
Practice squad counts for sure because you play a season.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, exactly. If you could stick around for 1 year, then I think you made it. I think I would say this about trying to make the NFL. I was an undrafted free agent to the Rams. And I could not have landed in a better spot. Like, I got every opportunity.
Jeff Fisher?
Jeff Fisher. They just signed the center Scott Wells from Green Bay, who was really good and just an excellent teacher and kind of mentor. He was also hurt, though, during camp, so I basically got to take all the twos reps. Like, I got to play a ton of snaps during the preseason. It was one of the coolest experiences of my entire life. I felt like I learned more football in those 4 months, 5 months, however long it was, than I did in 5 years in college. Like, it gave me a real appreciation of the depth of football, and just and the only longing I have is I wish I could have continued to see just how deep that craft went and tried to master it. But ultimately, are you good enough? And I fucked up that fourth preseason game, man. Had just an awful one. And me and this other guy, Tim Barnes, were neck and neck. Who are they going to keep? And that ends up being the difference right there. And so I think I do not count myself as an NFL player, but I also think that it was one of the coolest and most invaluable experiences of my entire life. Now, it was also incredibly anxiety-ridden, where every single day, every single play of every practice, you're like, fuck, like, if I fuck this up, like, I may be out of here tomorrow. So I don't miss that aspect, but I do miss the skill level of the guys that I was going against. I loved just how mentally complex it had become and how much I was missing from. It's almost like I wish I could take those 4 months of knowledge and retroactively apply them to my college, where I was always viewed as like, oh, one of the smart guys, you make
cerebral player. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like it wasn't even close what we were asked to do in college versus suddenly what Fisher and them had us doing. And I loved it. But I kind of knew too. I think two things. I think for me personally, I think if I'm being completely honest with myself, I think I maybe could have stuck around on a roster for a couple of years, right? But everybody reaches a point where you're like, okay, you're just outclassed. And I was starting to get there. And then I think secondly, man, I don't think I wanted it with every fiber of my being. I think I'm ultra competitive. I think I really wanted it. But I saw guys like Tyrann Mathieu, where failure was not an option. Like, it was never going to be on the table. For me, failure was devastating. It sucked, but I was going to be okay. I have safety nets. I have family. Like, I was going to be okay. I see guys out there who their drive just comes from something deeper, more intrinsic, more built into their DNA. And I think if I had that, maybe I could have stuck around a bit longer, but I think frankly, I did not. You'll appreciate this, John. My favorite thing to say about my time in the NFL is that I think I lost money trying to make it. I got a $500 signing bonus. So after taxes, it was like $308. And then like one of the first nights we all get there with the rookies, we go all out to eat. You
got paid as an undrafted free agent.
$308. Yeah. Not thousand.
Oh, 500.
$500 shot. Three Benjamins, a Lincoln, and $308. after taxes was my signing bonus, right? And then guys are getting cut that got like $50,000 signing bonuses like left and right. And so, but I remember like thinking like, okay, but like we're in the NFL now, like we're going to get some sort of big checks. This shit will be nice. So one of the first night we went out, I think I spent like fucking like $300 at a Hooters or something. We were watching like a Timothy Bradley fight. And so next thing you know, I'm like, oh wait, shit, there's no more money coming in. Like, I think we got a camp per diem or something, but you don't actually get paid until after final cuts. So yes, I'm probably one of the rare people who can claim that I lost money trying to make the NFL. I was in the red.
Okay, so I got one more nerdy football question.
Yeah.
You're playing Alabama. You played some of those good Florida teams. You know, clearly, if they have an individual who's going to be like a top 5 pick, but just on the whole, is that more difficult or the preseason game in the third or fourth quarter playing the backups? Because everyone's like, well, everyone's a pro. Well, yeah, Florida or Alabama in their heyday, like Georgia right now, or like LSU will be soon again, right? What was harder as a player? Separating the anxiety and the pressure of trying to make the team. It's different in college, right? You're on the team, but just the actual football.
Which is crazy because, right, on one hand, you're talking about playing in front of 100,000 people. On the other hand, you're talking about playing in front of a few thousand. And
people leave
because your career's on the line. The few thousand actually feels like more anxiety inducing. But I would, in terms of being harder on the football field, it's still the preseason games, you know, and maybe not. Maybe not every game because, you know, like the third game, you're kind of matching up with other guys who probably aren't going to make it. But I did feel like during the practice, these NFL practices, while they weren't as physically demanding at a college practice where Les Miles would have us like 3 hours, full pads, like repeat it, just like plays.
Yeah.
It was the worst guy on the NFL roster was still that guy in college that you were like game planning for, like the guy that you were highlighting. You're like, okay, we got to be ready to deal with him this week. Right. And so just the overall talent level, and make no mistake, coming from the SEC to the NFL was not an overwhelming jump. Going from 2A private white boy high school ball in Georgia to LSU was a jump. When I'm all of a sudden, I'll never forget the first day of practice, I show up at LSU, I got Glenn fucking Dorsey and Ricky Jean Francois locking me out. Like the second the ball is them, I got these short little arms, they're floating around the air. I actually went in the bathroom and cried after the first practice. I'm like, I'm done, dude. Like, why did I can't do this.
Did you call your dad and go, I don't know, man?
I did not call my old man, but shout out my old coach, Bradley Dale Pivoto, because I remember I did talk to him and he kind of helped me ease through it. But I'll never forget, that was a shock. When I got to the NFL, it was not a jump like that, but all of a sudden everybody was like, you know, that best guy that you win against each week. So yeah, it's still harder in the league, even though playing against those Floridas and those Alabamas are great. And you're still running into guys like Marcel Darius or Hightower, or any of these guys that
you play Ray McDonald at Florida.
I don't know. I don't think I played. I don't.
Florida probably had some pretty good defensive linemen when you were
I
there.
remember. Shit. I mean, from Florida, dude, Brandon Spikes was a bully.
Oh my God.
Brandon Spikes was a dog back in the day. I remember one time I went to cut him and I thought I nailed him. And it was like, I hit his thigh and I just slid down. Like he didn't move. I just hit it like a cartoon and then just slid and my belly hit the ground. I was like, fuck.
I remember doing a point of attack tape in the NFL. I was like a, lowest level intern / personnel guy. You put together and you're like, is this what it looks like? Oh my God. That guy just would mollywop people coming downhill.
He was bad, dude.
He
those Florida teams. I can't wait to watch this Swamp Kings documentary because Urban had it going at Florida that time. An eclectic bunch, to say the least.